Where's the camera?
It's there.
Oh, it's there. Camera's there. No, okay.
Can I take another one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Two.
You ready, Raza?
Yeah.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى. وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى. ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى. ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى. ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى. ووجدك عائلا فأغنى. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى. وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى رسولا ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على رسول الله وآله الأطهار على رسول الله الأطهار. صلى الله تعالى على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري أنه قال عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قال دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة. فقلت عليك السلام. قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا. فقلت له أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به. فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه فإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمام وكماله ما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا يا رسول الله. أتعزن لي أن أدخل مع تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي قد أذنت لك. قد دخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل. فقال السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا. السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله. أتعزن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك راية طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم، ها هو مع ولدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسيء وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء فقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بدعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذني أبي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وأومعي بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمه لحمي ودمهم دمي، ويعلمني ما يعلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن آداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم. فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، فأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. قال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي، إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل البيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أحبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فحبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرعك السلام ويخصمك وتحية والإكرام. ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنيا ولا أرضا مدحيا ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم فقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليكم السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. ودخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. قال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. وقال علي إذا والله خذنا وفاد شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي ثانيا يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جميع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم محموم إلا وفرج الله عنه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فذنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فاذوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة.
اللهم صل على محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بتقواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Now on to my other brother.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والتين والزيتون والطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون وما يكذب بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
I left Abbas in the after.
So just for those who are watching on the live stream, so what we're going to be doing now is we'll have a nat by the Hussein brothers. Dad, are you joining as well? Or is it just the brothers?
I'll support from
He will support from the sidelines, mashallah. Brilliant. Okay, so we have Abbas Ali and Haider, who is going to be reciting a nat, and then after that we will have young Asad Abbas, our host's son, inshallah, who will be reciting another surah. Yeah, let's welcome them both here. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Nare Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Nare Risalah.
Ya Rasulullah.
Nare Haydari.
Ya Ali.
Haydari.
Ya Ali.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Janam Fidaye Haydari Ya Ali. Ali, Ali, Janam Fidaye Haydari Ya Ali, 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 Janam Fidaye Haydari Ya Ali, Ali, Ali है मोहम्मद मेरा दिल कसीदा अली मेरे जीने का वाहिद करीना अली दीन इस्लाम का है नगीना अली हक की मंजिल का पहला है जीना अली दश्त में अबर का पहला कतरा अली मेरा मुर्शद भी आका भी मौला अली अली मौला अली हर सू सदाए है दरी या अली 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 जानम
Fidaye Haydari Ya Ali, Ali, Ali.
सुबह से शाम तक हर पहर हर घड़ी लब पे अपने रहे नारा है
Nara Haydari, Haydari, Haydari.
यानी खैबर शिकन مشکل کشا باد ازدا ہے دوسرا آسرا میں مصیبت میں اب کیوں پریشان رہو غم کے مارو کا ہے تو سہارا علی علی مولا علی رمز بقائے ہاشمی یا علی علی علی
جانم فدائے حیدری یا علی علی علی
محمد میرا دل تو سینہ علی میرے جینے کا واحد کرینہ علی دین اسلام کا ہے نگینہ علی حق کی منزل کا پہلا ہے زینہ علی دشت میں ابر کا پہلا خطرہ علی میرا مرشد بھی آقا بھی مولا علی علی مولا علی ہر سو صدا ہے دری یا علی علی
علی جانم فدائے حیدری یا علی 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 جانم فدائے حیدری یا علی علی علی
صبح سے شام تک ہر پہر ہر گھڑی لب پہ اپنے رہے نعرہ حیدری یعنی خیبر شکن یعنی مشکل کشا باد ازدا ہے دوسرا آسرا میں مصیبت میں اب کیوں پریشان ہو غم کے مارو کا ہے تو سہارا علی علی مولا علی رمز بقائے ہاشمی یا علی 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 جانم فدائے حیدری یا علی
علی علی جانم فدائے حیدری یا علی 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 اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الناس.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ما شاء الله. Any other night reciters are here already since Zohan is not here yet? If you want, I can start a speech now, maybe just to fill the time, and then Zohan will come, inshallah.
Monitoring who comes in.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, first of all, before I start, just to give you all a heads up as to what's coming up ahead. Inshallah, I'm just standing in with a small speech just now, and then we're going to have a few naat to be recited by some of the youngsters as well as some others, inshallah, from our community. Thereafter, we're going to be having, we've got the main recitation. We've got our lecture this evening by Sayyid Abbas Farshori, who is on his way from South London. And then, of course, we're going to be having Brother Imran Datu as well. Inshallah, we look to wrap up by approximately 10 o'clock, inshallah. So before we have our young Naat reciter come in, I thought I'd first give congratulations to our host for this evening, Raza Lakhani, for putting this event together. It's never easy to host an event at one's house, no matter how where you are or what resources you have. It's always a challenge to host an event like this. And so if we can start, first of all, with the one loud salawat for Brother Raza Lakhani, please. Can I also request, before we begin, that we have a Surah Fatiha for his mother, just to give you a little bit of context who Marhuma Sakina Auntie Karim was. As she was a lovely lady, an absolute pioneer. She was a servant of the community in North London, in Stanmore specifically. I remember during my time when I used to be the manager at the college office, she used to be a welfare officer there. And she used to be in charge of looking after people who were absolutely desperate, who used to call our office and who used to choose between paying the gas bill or having to provide groceries for their children. And she would go to people's houses and see what they need and let us know, and we'd give them provision. She was an absolute stellar performance and stellar person when it came to serving the community. So we please have one Surah Fatiha in her honor. Bismillah. Thank you very much. So I wanted to speak very briefly, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak with you all. I haven't done a speech in a very long time. I'm sure you're aware I do some hosting now and again, but speaking publicly is something I haven't done in a very long time. So please do give me a little bit of leeway, if you don't mind. Be patient with me. Inshallah, tonight's topic, just very briefly for about 10 minutes, will be on the topic of the prophetic model and the prophetic way of understanding mental health. I'd like to have a look and explore briefly around how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam managed his own mental health during a time of great difficulty. As we all know and we are all familiar with the story of the life of Rasulullah, how he was bestowed with the honor and the duties of prophethood, of course known as Khatmul Anbiya, and during his lifetime how many challenges, difficulties, stressors that he went through, and how he managed those with very specific mental health techniques that we can inshallah look at, explore and learn from inshallah. So I just want to cover three things very quickly. So one is just having a better understanding of the difference between mental health and mental ill health. And these two are very different things. Secondly, I want to have a look at a model around stress, right? And how much stress can have an impact in our own lives. And then thirdly, I'd like to save the best from last, and I'd like to go through three techniques that the Prophet used specifically to manage his own stress. So first of all, in regards to the difference between mental health and mental ill health. So what we must understand is there is a fundamental difference between these two. I think there is a misconception in the general public that these two, that if one has mental health, so for example, if I was to come up to you and say, I've got mental health, or you've got mental health, or we've got mental health, that sounds like something that is a negative thing, right? The reality is far from the opposite, right? When it comes to this idea of mental health is a part of health itself. So you have physical health, you have mental health, right? These two are different things, but they are linked in many ways. So if one has good physical health, it links to one's mental health as well. And of course, if one has good mental health, it's also linked to physical health. So that's the first thing. Every single one of us in this room has got mental health. What we need to understand is whether we've got good mental health or do we have bad mental health? Are we mentally ill, right? There is a difference between the two. So for example, if I look at the physical world, a lot of you around here I can see, mashallah, and I'm sure those online as well, are physically healthy, the way that I can see anyway, right? We're physically healthy, we are active. That is a sign of us being physically healthy and having good physical health. If I was to play football and I was to break my leg, clearly I've got bad physical health at the moment, right? And I need time for that to heal, right? Likewise, mental health is the same. We have what's known as good mental health. So when we are in a good state of mind, we have a positive well-being and a positive attitude towards life. And we also have an ability to overcome stresses and difficulties and challenges that we may face within our life. Those who may be struggling with their mental health, it'll be the opposite for them. They may have a more negative outlook on life. They may be struggling with understanding stressful situations and why they're going through challenges in their life. So I just wanted to highlight this very key difference between mental health and mental ill health, and I hope that's said well. Secondly, I just thought I would show you a very interesting model around the concept of stress. And for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be slightly improvise a little bit, and I'm going to use a container over there. Brother, can you do me a favor? There's an empty container that is the glass one, which is just drying on the rack. Just provide me the, yeah, that one there. Perfect, thank you very much. I'm sure Raza won't mind, so long as I don't break it. No, it's plastic. Perfect, that's fine. I can't break it. So, I want you all to imagine that this container is not going to be filling a liquid, but it's going to be filling stresses. Each and every single one of you has a container like this within your mind, okay? And this container is designed to hold each and every single one of the stresses that you may have on a daily, a weekly, or a monthly basis. The container will start to fill up slowly. Okay. What we need to understand is that it's imperative for us and it's critical for us as human beings to make sure that this container starts to reduce in terms of stress. Stress will always be there, right? We will have certain stresses in our life. We have rents to pay, we have mortgages to pay, we have families to look after, right? Etc., etc. We have a lot of responsibilities, and that comes with stress. Stress can be a good thing, but in limited, regulated amounts. So it's important that we regulate the amount of stress that is within our containers. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with a tap at the bottom of this container. And if we open up this tap, the stress starts to flow out. So this particular tap is ways in which we can manage our stress well enough. And what's important is that on a regular basis, we open up that tap and allow those stresses to flow out on a regular basis. So very basic, simple things. So if I give you some non-religious examples before I move on to what the Prophet did specifically and how he managed to tap into that tap at the bottom. So things like being more mindful, things like meditation, things like ensuring that we get enough sleep on a regular basis, things like ensuring that we pick up the phone to those who we might love, or having a conversation with those who we know that we can confide in, right, around stresses. These are really good examples of that. Physical activity is another really good one as well, making sure we try and get outside as much as possible, even in these winter months, and I appreciate that can be a challenge. Lastly, let me just focus specifically on the Prophet's technique, because of course we see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we see him as our role model, as our guide. And so what did the Prophet do in terms of his technique specifically to reduce his own stress levels? Don't forget, of course, that we have evidence of the fact that the Prophet did struggle when it comes to stress from time to time. So just to give you an example, you had 1 year in which he lost his shield, his protector, Hazrat Abu Talib, and he of course lost his wife in the same year as well, right, Bibi Khadija. The name of that year was Amul Huzn, right, the year of grief, right? So we know that this is something that is well known in our Hadith books in terms of his stress and the grief that he faced during this time. How did he manage this? First of all, let me show you to a verse of the Quran which the Prophet beautifully exemplified. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innal qulub. Right? So the translation of this verse is, surely the dhikr of Allah, the remembrance of Allah, is peace for the hearts. Right? There are times when we are going through difficulties and challenges in our life, our hearts start to struggle, right? And will be in a state of stress. And so in order to bring peace to the heart, the remembrance of Allah is always a very is a great tactic that one can use in order to support with one's mental health. The second one, which I thought I would bring to your attention, and it's linked to this first one as well, but there was a hadith which I came across from Sheikh Jafar Ladak that he had mentioned in one of his khutbah. I highly recommend to all of you to have a look at his YouTube series, which he's doing as weekly Jummah khutbahs that he does at Leeds Jamaat. One of these hadith that he spoke about in his series, which he's doing on 40 ahadith, one hadith a week. This particular one, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Man anisa billah istawhasha minan nas, right? Which essentially means, Anisa, you may have heard this word. There may be some ladies or women who you may know in your life called Anisa, right? Anisa means the one who is intimate with, right? The one who is close with. So Man anisa billah, the one who is close to Allah, istawhasha minan nas. They start to be more aloof from the people. They start to be a little bit more sort of distant from people. Now, people in this context is talking specifically about the general public, right? Those who may be a little bit more distracted by social media, or those who are distracted by the mainstream media, etc., etc. We're talking about the general people here, right? So when it comes to being intimate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what we start to recognize when we look at some of the symptoms of what it means to be distracted by individuals, one of those symptoms are social media, right? Or excessive use of social media, I should say. Right? So a reduction in social media use can always be helpful as well. And having an intimate connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can certainly help with that. Last but not least, and I'm going to end it here because I see our young Naat reciter is here in the room, and inshallah he will follow up with me. The last thing I wanted to make reference to was a really interesting link that scientists have talked about, of the link between one's diet with what one's eating compared to your mental health. There's a lot of research to indicate the difference between having a rich, what's called microbiome, which is the diversity of your gut bacteria inside your gut, and your brain, your mental health. There's a lot of upcoming research along these lines. And what's very interesting to see is what the Prophet would eat during his time, right? And how that was very pure in what he would eat. So let's have a look at what our diets consist of on a general basis. Yeah. So we've got things like chicken, lamb, fish, steak, right? I'm sure. The odd fruits and vegetables now and again. Yeah. Here and there. Mustahabat, maybe, yeah. Wajibat, all of this, right? Absolutely. So when it comes to the prophetic diet, what's very interesting was the minimal amount of meat that he would consume, all right? Not on a regular basis, but now and again. And that also we need to remember that the meat comes from an animal, right? That was a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet would raise that creature himself for 3 days. He knows exactly what he's feeding that animal before then slaughtering it and later cooking and eating it, right? A minimal amount. So I think what's been really helpful in terms of specifically to do with eating is to minimize the amount of meat that we eat, try and increase the amount of fruit, vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, etc., etc. That can help, inshallah, in our diet. Yeah? Inshallah. Okay. Absolutely. There's one that's labeled V, by the way, for vegetarian. So whoever wants to go for that, be my guest.
It's vegan.
Oh, mashallah, even better.
It's vegan.
Vegan. Okay, brilliant, brilliant. It doesn't have my name written on it, so that means it's not for me. But whoever else wants it,
come with your dear. 2 of them with your dear.
okay. Well, whoever wants it, it's not my name written on it. So whoever wants it can have it, inshallah. You can practice what we preach, inshallah. Absolutely. No, I hope this was of value, inshallah. And we'll now move on to having Zohan Mohsin recite a naat for us. Let's welcome him on with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
محمد ہمارے پریشان والے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے نبی رحمت لقب پانے والے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے خدا جس کے سینے پہ قرآن اٹھارے خدا جس کے سینے پہ قربان اٹھارے مدثر کہے اور مزمل پکارے مدثر کہے اور مزمل پکارے نور خدا دو جہاں کے اجالے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے جب آئے زمین پر محمد ہمارے جب آئے زمین پر محمد ہمارے فلک نے زمین پر بچھائے ستارے فلک نے زمین پر بچھائے ستارے اٹھے سرزمین عرب سے یہ نعرے محمد ہمارے پریشان محمد ہمارے پریشان محمد ہمارے پریشان بدن نور جن کا ہے دل نور جن کا زبان نور جن کی عمل نور جن کا بدن نور جن کا ہے دل نور جن کا زبان نور جن کے عمل نور جن کا تو خاکی بنائے کس خون کے خاکے محمد ہمارے پریشان محمد ہمارے پریشان محمد ہمارے پریشان سنکست میں بھی کہ فتح اٹھاتا سنکست میں بھی کہ فتح اٹھاتا رسالت کی توہین جو کر رہا تھا اٹھے تب یہ کہہ کے بہادر جیالے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے محمد ہمارے پریشان والے محمد ہمارے پریشان
Before we have Zuli on to recite, can I just ask, I know we are practicing social distancing, but let's move a little bit forward. Let's create a bit of an atmosphere here. Let's move in forward so people who are coming in, they can all come forward. I'm sure you've all had your vaccines and your tests and everything. We're all wearing masks. MashaAllah, it's very, very good. Perfect, thank you very much. Awesome, thank you. Amazing. Right, let's welcome on Zuli. Shall we sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad?
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بر محمد و آل محمد بآواز بلند صلوات. اور ایک درود پڑھ دیجیے محمد و آل محمد. مناجات پیش کرتا ہوں مولا عباس علیہ السلام کے حوالے سے. اور جہاں تک مجھے یاد ہے کہ مرحومہ سکینہ بائی جو کہ رضا کی والدہ جن کے ثواب کے لیے یہ جشن آرگنائز کیا گیا ہے، ان کو یہ مناجات سے بہت عشق تھا. اور جب بھی میں ان سے ملا ہوں ہماری جان پہچانی مطلب رشتہ بھی ہے. جب بھی ملتے تھے وہی یہی کہا کرتے تھے مجھے کہ ذوالفقاریہ وہ والا مولا عباس علیہ السلام کا سنا تھا مجھے جب بھی موقع ملتا تھا میں. تو ان کی یاد میں یہ پیش کرتا ہوں درود پڑھ دیجیے محمد و آل محمد. لیکن اس سے پہلے ایک سورہ فاتحہ مرحومہ کے ثواب کے لیے. الفاتحہ. درود پر محمد و آل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد و آل
نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے. نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے سب مل کے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر اس میں اعظم ہے یہ اس میں اعظم ہے یہ مومن کی التجا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر منشأ زہرا ارادہ یہ علی حکم جلی منشأ زہرا ارادہ یہ علی حکم جلی ثانی جعفر تیار ہے غیرت کا ولی خود چنا خود چنا خالق اکبر نے ہے وفا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس لا کوئی مانے یا نہ مانے ہے یہ ایمان میرا نام عباس ہے بخشش کا ہے سامان میرا چشمہ فیض ہے چشمہ فیض ہے یہ در ہر ایک عطا کے لیے نام عباس دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ کہاں شبیر نے زینب سے جو یہ خوش ہو کر میں ہوں آقا جو صبر کا تو وفا کا ہے قمر فخر ہارون پہ فخر ہارون پہ آیا ہے کربلا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے جب بھی غازی کے علم پر کبھی پڑ جائے جب بھی غازی کے علم پر کبھی پڑ جائے نظر اپنے ہاتھوں کو اپنے ہاتھوں کو اٹھاؤ سبھی دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے تجھ کو زہرا کی قسم ہے میری مراد بھر دے تجھ کو زہرا کی قسم میری مراد بھر دے سر جھکایا ہے تیرے در بے بس دعا کے لیے سر جھکایا ہے سر جھکایا ہے تیرے در بے بس دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا مانگو عباس سے تم دے کہ سکینہ کی قسم مانگو عباس سے تم دے کہ سکینہ کی قسم ایک خاص طریقہ ہے ہر عطا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے نام عباس وسیلہ ہے ہر دعا کے لیے حضرت محمد و آل محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد
سنایا تو یادا عرفان تو پارا تو
نعرہ حیدری
دل میں قرآن سنایا تو یادا عرفان چھپایا تو یادا آج میں نوح پیغمبر ہو کہ حضرت موسیٰ یونس خضر ہو الیاس کا حضرت عیسیٰ وقت نے پر بجو آیا تو اپنے अपने घर से मैं चला करके इरादा हज का, ये नियत के करूँगा मैं तो आफे काबा, काबा जब सामने आया तो याद आया, इरफान जो पाया तो याद आया। हो की बरसात हुई और तू हुए सर देखे, रन में अब्बास जो आई था तो अली, रन में अब्बास जो दिल में कुरान समाया तो अली याद आया, हक इरफान जो पाया तो अली याद आया।
माशाअल्लाह। So what we're going to have now is we're going to have a speech by Musaddiq Uncle Ladak, and then afterwards, inshallah, if we have time, a couple of naats, and then we're going to have our main speaker for this evening, Sayyid Abbas Farshori. Let's start with Musaddiq Uncle with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغه بدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماه العادون ولا يعدي حقه المجتهدون والحمد لله الذي من علينا بمحمد صلى الله عليه وآله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيتك الطيبين الطاهرين المأسومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ومبغضيهم وغاصبي حقوقهم من ليلنا هذا إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتاب المجيد والفرقان الحميد وقول الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صلوات الله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. One of the most beautiful inspiration that we have been told to do is that Zainul Majalisikum fi Zikri Yabi Ali ibn Abi Talib sallallahu alaihi. And I can see the full justice being done tonight, and inshallah more to come with the zikr of the Ahlul Bayt. Tonight, this jashan is mainly for the majalises, the naat, the latmiya that we normally cite on the nights of the gham, but not today. The iltijah we have, the munajats we have, everything has been made into a sphere for tonight's jashan. And if we look at that system that we have in our Imam Barghas and in our homes, is unique in one way. Every sect, every religion does have their own way of praising their lords or their gods. The Christians have their hymns, the Hindus have their bhajans. The Buddhists they have their way of doing their meditation. Every sect has got some way or the other to go back to the root. And the root is trying to get closer to Allah in their own way, in their own sect, in their own madhab. Why do I say that although generally it's common, one of the foundations of society, religious society, why do I say that in our sect, Khas Shia Ithna Ashari, that this is so unique? Because it comes direct from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know the famous hadith we have, hadith I could see, that Allah says, O son of Adam, three things are there. One is that as your creator, you have the rights on me, and I have the rights on you. So being your creator, the one who sustains you, I have my rules, I have my laws, and you are to follow them. You as the one who has been created, you need to come to me so that your ibadats, your way of life, conforms to that I put down as my rules and regulations. And the third is that there is a bridge between you and me, as son of Adam, that you lift your arms up and say, Ya Allah, iltija. And it's about me in my wisdom to grant you that. Sometimes when we look deeper into this type of statements, we hear from the member and we accept it and we say this is right, correct, enjoy the way it is being put to us. But if you go one bit deeper, you can think, say, we as Muslims, I'm not talking about Shias, if we don't have one aspect in our belief, nothing is accepted, and that is the wilayah. If you do not believe in the wilayah of Imam Ali and the followers after him, nothing is accepted. You may be fasting, praying, doing jihad, but wilayah is something that Allah Himself has said you must accept, believe, follow, and give your life if need be. So how do we see these examples of the majalises we have, of the iltijās we have, the nads we have, right from the very beginning when Adam was put on earth? The only way that he could reconnect with his wife, maybe Hawa, after years of grief, was when Jibreel came down and he said, take the names of these five. And we look throughout the history, we see that every Payghambar, every prophet had to go through the wasila of the Ahlul Bayt, khususan the five. And they were successful only because they had accepted the wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. I was sitting in a dars with the Ayatollah Akil Gharawi a few months ago, and he said something profound. And Nabi Ibrahim, when he became an imam, prior to that, in the unseen world, when we were all there as our souls, when he was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that there are going to be some personalities that would hold the highest rank in my eyes, and without following these personalities fully, totally, without question, nobody can get close. Not even you, a friend of Allah, Khalilullah, nobody. And Ayatollah Aqil went into some depth and he said that when the fadila of these illustrious personalities was being taught to the Anbiya, that is when Nabi Ibrahim stood up and said, please let me be from the lovers of this Ahlul Bayt. And that is when Allah accepted that iltija, that dua, that the rank of Nabi Ibrahim became so high that he became the first Imam from all the other Paygambars. Maybe the Ulul Azm, but he was the first one. On this one love that he had to show, he accepted. And then I was talking to somebody else, well, I was talking to my son about this hadith, and he said that there is one step further than this. This hadith is sahih, but there is one step further than that. That Nabi Ibrahim said that, Ya Allah, those who are the lovers of these personalities, let me be their servant. This comes from a profound alim. And this is what we are here today, to celebrate Allah's direct commands of the wasila that we are following. There is no person on this earth who doesn't go through a problem or stress or something. We just heard about the mental health, and we heard from Zulfikar about there is no dua of that from Hazrat Abbas, it's his name. We accept it, but we become so used to this that we miss the essence of that. We have got a wonderful recited amongst us. Allah bless him. Imran Datu is here. And we have got a young upcoming Zakir of Ahlul Bayt. They don't just come over here, they come with preparations, they practice. They spend hours to come and give a half an hour or 40-minute lecture. Why? If they've got this guidance that they have from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so lucky they are that they come and serve us. But when we appreciate this, believe you me, I'll come to a couple of hadiths. I was not going to say these things, but it seems that some of the reciters are running late, so I've been giving a bit of a leeway. That there is nothing more powerful than when we are sitting here, we absorb this beauty that is being given to us. Our hearts are open. And when we go to the shrines of our holy Imams, or those who are close to the Masumins, that we hold onto the zari and we cry and do the same iltija, that Ya Abbas, there is nobody greater than you, biiznillah. For you, I am here at the moment to ask for my hajat. This is one of our training grounds. I wish the youngsters were here, because I was aiming this to them. For you know this. I'm not saying anything new. But just to bring it up to the forefront of our minds as to why on a Saturday evening we are here. There's other program there that some people have chosen to go to. But this urge of azan, which I said that this is from Allah, has been further cemented. When Imam Hussein was born, again the story is so common. When Imam Hussein was born, he is in the arms of Rasulullah, the beloved. And Jibreel comes and whispers something into the ears of Rasulullah. And tears start to come down the cheeks of Rasulullah. Bibi Fatima comes and says, O Messenger of Allah, O my beloved father, on a happy occasion like this, you are crying? I said, yes. Jibreel has come and told me what he has told other prophets before me, that there become a time where this son of yours would be slaughtered so badly on the plains of Karbala, thirsty, with his family being taken as prisoners. Shock news to a mother who has just given birth to a child. And being a mother, but she said, Ya Rasulullah, my father, you be there now? La, I'll be long gone. Will Ali be around? No, he too will be gone. Will Hassan, his brother, be there? His time would have been over. And will I be there? No, you will follow me soon afterwards. Then who will be there to remember my son? Oh, Rasulullah says these famous words. So proud that we are to be the chosen ones, that Allah will create that community who will sit every now and then to remember your son until the day of Qiyamah. This is the theme of today's Jashan. When we are sitting here as guests of Imam, of Bibi Fatima, but it is not a small invitation. Then how does this manifest? Why is it unique for us? Yes, there have been poets in other religions. They have been writing their versions. But when the fifth Imam decided to have a majlis at his home, and he calls a famous poet to come, and with the respect that he gives to that poet, and he sits him on a chair and he says to that poet, recall my judges, my grandfathers, terrible experience. And he says, oh Fatima, Bibi Fatima, do you remember, do you know what atrocities took place? So here we are unique that even our Imams have taught us to sit down on the arsh. And where was the Imam himself? Outside. Looking where? After our shoes, the shoes of those people. So this type of jasans, this type of nats, this type of iltija, this type of beautiful reciters who come and lift us up, it's just that one tear that will take us to heaven. How lucky we are. We have poets, as I said, here. There are yet others yet to come. God-given gift with the beautiful voices. First was such a poet, as you know. During the time of Hajj, Hisham ibn Abdul Malik, the crown prince at that time, wants to go and touch the Kaaba. And he is unable to do so. He sees the rush of the people around the Kaaba is such that he can't get. He's a crown prince, the next to take the Caliphate. And he finds a place, he makes a small mimbar and he sits over there. And as he's sitting there, a young man comes. As he comes, there is the sound of takbir. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah is great. And as the sea was parted for Nabi Musa, so was the crowd of people parting. And this young man, illustrious man, walks through as if there is nobody around him until he comes to the Kaaba and he holds onto the Kaaba. Hisham is sitting, watching all this. One of his companions says, who is this person? Who is this person that the crowd just parted? And Hisham, being a proud person, anger at the way that he was not given the respect, he says, I don't know. First, the poet of the time, lover of Ahlul Bayt. What does he say? He's not scared. The true lovers of Ahlul Bayt are never ever scared. He says, Hisham, you're lying. Hisham is the crown prince. You've got one crown prince in Saudi not today. Lanatullah. Same blood. Says, Hisham, you're lying. You very well know who this is. So the person who had asked Hisham before says, hey, Fazda, who is this? And he starts with this beautiful poem. It's available on Google. And I would ask my young, boys to, it's in English, to turn that poem into one of the recitations they can do on the Imam Zainul Abidin's Milad, for example. Because today our youngsters are getting more into English. Okay. I'm from the old school. beautiful. And he says, "Hey Sham, don't you know? I'll tell you. He is the son of Hasanain. His grandmother is Fatima, the giver of the light, and she is the one who takes out the darkness. He is the one that the valley of Makkah knows. Every valley, every stone, every grain of sand knows this person. The Kaaba knows him as he knows the Kaaba. He is from the illustrious family. He is from the illustrious family of the God-chosen people. Hisham, who do you think you are lying to?" So the poetry of the Ahlul Bayt is taught to us during the time of the Imams, and not only that, it is being taught to us by the Imams themselves by giving a person the importance of sitting on a chair while they sit on the shoe racks, so that the zikr of Ahlul Bayt, and in a sense that Allah's commands, are kept alive. I can finish now, or shall I carry on? Because what shall I do?
Another 7 minutes, inshallah.
Okay.
If possible.
No, wait. Since childhood, when I was 5 years old, I loved Hazrat Abbas. I don't know why. One of my first majlis when I was 5 years old, believe me, in Kachi, in one of the small mehfils in Zanzibar, was when Maroon Rashid Turabi's son, Akil Turabi, had come. And we were like these youngsters, black shirt, or maybe t-shirt, short pants, barefooted, and we would go to the majalises. And Hazrat Abbas was somebody that was so much part of our life. When our parents, my mother would tell us the story of Ibi Sakina wanting water and all that. So it ingrained in us as we grew. And I said this, but this like a 5-year-old would be breaking into nervousness, sitting on the minbar, and a memory that I've cherished. The thing is, Zulfikar was reciting this Iltija of Hazrat Abbas. It took me back. And this is one story I need to tell you. How important these gatherings are. I was going to end by saying that our learned scholars, our marjas, our mujtahids tell us, do not miss a Thursday. Do not miss Wafat. Do not miss Kushalis. Go, sit, take the advantage. It is a part of your salvation. But the scholars say that keep the majalises at home, bring your family together, bring your neighbors together, bring your non-communities members together, and the thawab of the hosting and the people who attend is so much that one cannot even count. I was going to end with that, but I've been told to continue, so I'm going to give you this one story. A young Tulaban is a student, obviously, in the Hawza Ilmiya. When the session finished, the term finished, in Iraq, you shut down for the hot summer months. It's very hot. You cannot study. There is no electricity as such in the afternoons. There's no air condition, there's no fan. So they close down. Ulamas tend to go to cooler places, or they go back to their families in Iran or Syria, wherever. It so happened this young Tulaban finished his Zohar namaz in the Haram. As he was coming out, he met one of his teachers, and he greeted him, Assalamu alaikum, salam. And they had a few minutes together, and it is customary for a student, when he sees a teacher, ask for some sort of hidayah or any advice. It's customary. It shows respect. So he said, Sayyidina, I'm going back to my hometown. Could you give me some advice? I said, sit down. They sat on the sahan at some time, had a little bit of water to drink. And he says to these young students, listen. No, I beg your pardon. I really beg your pardon. This is another hadith. This is another hadith. This was the young Tulaban, who was told by the Khuddam of Hazrat Abbas's haram. They knew each other, and the Khuddam was saying to him that, okay, you're going now, Khuda Hafiz, and come and listen to what I'm going to tell you a hadith. He says, just 3 months ago, I go very fast now because we have got our recital. He said, I'll tell you a story. 3 months ago, a young couple came with a child who was very ill, and the doctors had said to the child that this is it. There is no more we can do. He is a guest of this world for a few days. The parents who had tried hard, young couple, to have a child were devastated. They had no other way to go, so they come to Abu Fadl Abbas's haram. They hold on to the zari and they do the iltija. These are the iltijas that we hear and we sometimes take it lightly. And they are crying and they are making this iltija. Our only son that we had prayed for, so ill that you have to take him back. Allah was taking him back. Now this is Iman. You can question me as to why this was said. How can somebody of this personality say, talk or challenge? Allahu Alam, I'm giving you what the Khuddam of the shrine of Hazrat Abbas says to this young Tulaban who told me this personally. He says this dua iltija went to Hazrat Abbas, who was sitting next to his father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, who was sitting next to Rasulullah. Hazrat Abbas turns around to Imam Ali and says, oh my father, I have got this request from the young couple. I would like you to turn this iltija to Rasulullah to ask Allah to give shafa to this child. Imam Ali turns to Rasulullah, gives the request. Jibreel comes. The request has gone to Allah. Allah says, no, it is written. Cannot be changed. Second day again, a few hours later, whatever, the same thing happens. Iltija. Ya Abu Fadl. Again, as the Abbas turns out to Imam Ali, turns on to Rasulullah, goes to Jibreel, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Give him shafa. Answer is no. 3 times it happens, and Hazrat Abbas looks down. He looks down and he talks to his father. He says, oh my father, I have been given this title of Babul Hawaij. I have been given this title of Babul Hawaij. Why? Because I made a promise that I will come back with water. And though I fell on the ground without any arms and blinded, struck, I did not go back to Sakina because my heart wasn't able to face the beloved of Hussein. Tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take this title of Babul Hawaij away from me. What good is it? Not a challenge to Allah, but a point to be made that we are lucky we have been chosen to be the lovers of Abul Fadl Abbas, and there is a door that we can go to who is there to serve us. Just like Nabi Ibrahim said, that Ya Allah, forget about me being the servants of the illustrious ones. Let me just be the server of those who are the followers of the Ahlul Bayt. And then the message goes back to Allah, and Allah says, once I give a title to somebody, never can I take it back. Go tell Hazrat Abbas that the child has been given shafa and that he will be okay. Khudam says, I ran to the Zari to try and see these people once again. They had gone. And there was salwas after salwas to show that this iltija had been accepted. Let us raise our hands today and pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant each and every one of us the tawfiq to appreciate this type of gatherings in houses, to make our hearts illustrious, and to increase the tawfiq of our upcoming zakis and reciters of the nas and du'as to take us down that path that our heart opens with their recitation. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Musaddiq Uncle, for more than covering the time. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You know, once the mic, always the mic.
Absolutely. Let's have Brother Awaz on to recite some naat for us, and inshallah our main lecture. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
السلام علیکم. زمین نبی کی زمانہ نبی کا یہ ساری خدا خزانہ نبی. زمین نبی کی زمانہ نبی کا یہ ساری خدائی خزانہ نبی کا. صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. نہ بھولے گا تیری صدا کو زمانہ اتر کر فلک سے زمین پر نہ بھولے گا تیری صدا کو زمانہ اتر کر فلک سے زمین پر وہ مکے کی گلیوں میں خون میں نہانا وہ وزن رسالت اٹھانا نبی کا. زمین نبی کی زمانہ نبی کا یہ ساری خدائی خزانہ نبی کا. صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. خدا جس سے دے کے نبی وہ بصارت سنے جس سے خالق نبی وہ سما. خدا جس سے دے کے نبی وہ بصارت سنے جس سے خالق نبی وہ سما. مشیت خدا کی
نبی کی مشیت ارادہ خدا کا ارادہ نبی کا صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم وہ بندوں کو اپنے خدا سے ملا کر سلیقہ ہمیں بندگی کا سکھا کر وہ بندوں کو اپنے خدا سے ملا کر سلیقہ ہمیں بندگی کا سکھا جھکے درمیان ان بتوں کو ہٹا کر خدا کا ہی سجدہ کرانا نبی کا زمین نبی کی زمانہ نبی کا یہ ساری خدائی خزانہ نبی صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم سلام ان پہ جو ہے زمانے پہ سایہ کہ ان میں خدا نے ہے خود کو بسایا سلام ان پہ جو ہے زمانے پہ سایہ کہ ان میں خدا نے خود کو بسایا حسین و حسن ہو علی ہو کہ زہرا نبی کی طرح ہے گرانا نبی کا زمین نبی کی زمانہ نبی کا یہ ساری خدائی خزانہ نبی کا یہ مستحسن ہم سے اقوام عالم کہ اب وقت شاید بہت رہ گیا یہ مستحسن ہم سے اقوام عالم کہ اب وقت شاید بہت رہ گیا کہ آئے سوار اس میں ہو جائے اب ہم سفینہ ہوا ہے روانہ نبی کا زمین نبی کی زمانہ نبی کا یہ ساری خدائی خزانہ نبی کا صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم ہے نالین سرور نوید اور سرور غلام ختیجہ نبی کے ہے نالین سرور نوید اور سرور غلام ختیجہ نبی کے دعا ہے یہ ان کی جو ہو روز محشر تو ان پر بھی ہو شامیانہ نبی کا زمین نبی کی زمانہ نبی کا یہ ساری خدائی خزانہ نبی کا زمین نبی کی زمانہ نبی کا یہ ساری خدائی خزانہ نبی کا محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم recite for you. اللهم
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
مانگا ہے رب سے مالک کونین نے مجھے بیٹا کہا ہے مادر حسنین نے مجھے عباس نام ہے میرا عباس نام ہے عباس نام ہے میرا عباس نام ہے اسماء پنجتن کا اثاثہ الفاظ ہے طواف میں کعبہ ہے میرا نام اسرار اور رموز کی دنیا ہے میرا نام خود مصطفیٰ کی بیٹی نے رکھا ہے میرا نام بے جان نہیں ہے حرف کوئی میرے نام میں سمٹی ہوئی ہے نادی علی میرے نام عباس نام ہے عباس نام ہے عباس نام ہے میرا توحید کو ہے ناز خدائے وفا ہوں میں مشکل کشا کلال ہو مشکل کشا ہو برسو جبین شیر خدا میں رہا ہوں میں دہرایا جب علی کو خدا نے بنا ہوں میں خلقت میں میرے دخل نہیں ماں تین کو تحفہ ہوں میں بطول کا ام البنی کو عباس نام ہے میرا عباس نام ہے عباس نام ہے میرا عباس نام ہے قہر خدا کی بولتی تصویر میری روحوں پہ موت کرتی ہے تحریر میری تیغوں میں مثل آئے تطہیر میری تیز طوفان نوح خواب ہے تعبیر میری تیز عصمت کے پہرے دار ہے تطہیر کی قسم یہ چوٹی ذوالفقار ہے شبیر کی قسم عباس نام ہے عباس عباس نام ہے میرا تلوار میری جائے گی رن میں جدھر بارش وہاں پہ ہوگی سروں کی اشعل کے پاؤں پیسے گے تم کو کڑر کڑر دیکھے گی موت خود یہ نظارے ٹکر ٹکر سن سن کی ساتھ ایسی سماعت پہ چاہے گی در در گرے گی در نہ صدا تم کو آئے گی عباس نام ہے عباس عباس نام ہے مانگا ہے رب سے مالک کونین نے مجھے بیٹا کہا ہے مادر حسنین نے مجھے عباس نام ہے میرا عباس نام ہے عباس نام ہے میرا عباس نام ہے محمد وآل محمد صلی اللہ
Awaz, excellent as always, mashallah. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. We have one more, and I know we have been marinating you all for a while now. So inshallah, Sayyid Abbas is waiting to cook you all, but we have one more to marinate, inshallah. We've got Nayab Uncle to recite one last one before Sayyid Abbas has his main lecture. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
محمد وعلى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
اللهم صل على محمد.
جہاں روزائے پاکے جہاں روزائے پاکے خیر الورا ہے وہ جنت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے. جہاں روزائے پاکے خیر الورا ہے وہ جنت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے. کہاں میں کہاں یہ مدینے کی گلیاں یہ قسمت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے. محمد کی عظمت کو کیا پوچھتے ہو محمد کی عظمت کو کیا پوچھتے ہو کہ وہ صاحب کعبہ کو زین ٹھہرے. محمد کی عظمت کو کیا پوچھتے ہو کہ وہ صاحب کعبہ کو زین ٹھہرے. بشر کی اثر عرش بشر کی سر عرش مہمان نوازی یہ عظمت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے. کہاں میں کہاں یہ مدینے کی گلیاں یہ قسمت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے. جو آسی کو کملی میں اپنی چھپا لے جو آسی کو کملی میں اپنی چھپا لے جو دشمن کو بھی زخم کھا کر دعا دے جو آسی کو کملی میں اپنی چھپا لے جو دشمن کو بھی زخم کھا کر دعا دے اسے اور کیا نام اسے اور کیا نام دے گا زمانہ وہ رحمت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے. کہاں میں کہاں یہ مدینے کی گلیاں قسمت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے. قیامت کا ایک دن معین ہے لیکن قیامت کا ایک دن معین ہے لیکن ہمارے لیے ہر نفس ہے قیامت. مدینے سے ہم جان نثاروں کی دوری
مدینے سے ہم جہاں نثاروں کی دوری قیامت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے کہاں میں کہاں یہ مدینے کی گلیاں یہ قسمت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے جہاں روضائے پاکے خیر الورا ہے وہ جنت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے تم نایاب یہ نعت کہہ تو رہے ہو مگر یہ بھی سوچا ہے کیا کر رہے ہو کہاں تم کہاں مدحے کہاں تم کہاں مدحے ممدوح یزداں یہ جرت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے کہاں میں کہاں یہ مدینے کی گلیاں یہ قسمت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے جہاں روضائے پاکے خیر الورا ہے وہ جنت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے کہاں میں کہاں یہ مدینے کی گلیاں یہ قسمت نہیں ہے تو پھر اور کیا ہے
محمد صلی
I think he needs no introduction. We've had him at Milton Keynes a few times. Let's welcome on Sayyid Abbas Farshori. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بكماله كشفت جو بجماله حسنت جميع خصاله صلوا عليه وآله صلوات اللهم صل على محمد شاہ مردان شیر یزداں شاہ مردان شیر یزداں قوت پروردگار لا فتح الا علی لا سیف الا ذوالفقار صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا مولانا وحبيب إله العالمين أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى آل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله ولا القوم الظالمين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله نور السماوات والأرض. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد. It is a pleasure and an honor to be invited for today's gathering. I recognize so many people from so many different places, so alhamdulillah, it's a pleasure to be, offer my humble contribution alongside you already accepted a'mal, inshallah. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to remind everyone for inviting me, inshallah. These gatherings are why Wilayat has been kept alive in the first place. At one point, it was people's homes, it was in secret, it was a handful of people who simply would not let go of Ashhadu anna Aliyyun Waliullah. And in their disparate communities and their far away struggles, we have that heritage which survives until today. And so to bless your home with dhikr of Ali Muhammad is to make this home worthy of living in. And it's making a guest who's invited for the sake of Ali Muhammad is a guest worth inviting. So for this reason, for our organizers and for their tawfiq and for all of their amal and their marhumeen, sallu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. One more louder, salatu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. The verse of Quran which I mentioned in the beginning of today's discussion from the ayat of Nur, which is one of the most famous verses of the Quran, begins, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah is the nur, the light of the heavens and the earth, of samawat and ard. Not Allah creates the nur, not Allah gives the nur, not Allah allows the nur. Allah Himself is the nur of the heavens and the earth. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. At His essence, at His core, Allah is light. He is the most perfect manifestation of nur, of light. It's one of His names, it's one of His realities. There is no impurity, no darkness, no dhurum. There is just pure nur. And from Him is nur of samawat and ard. The only reason why we have sight or vision or anything other than non-existence is because of this nur of Allah Azza wa Jalla. It shines so universally and so brightly. There is nothing except this nur. In the way that maybe you will light a candle with another candle, and usually at birthday parties, you'll use one flame of one candle to light the others. Each flame comes from a previous flame and is not in itself unique. But Allah receives no nur from any location, and yet He gives nur to every recipient. There's no place to give Him light from, and yet everything receives light from Him. Warmth from Him, guidance from Him, all types of success from this nur, whether they're in samawat or ard. This is Allah's nur. Allahu nur samawati wal ard. This point is from Allama Tabatabai. Now, about this idea of God is the light, He's the nur, He's the independent, He's the only one who gives all light. The verse continues, Kamathali Nuri. The example of Him is like light, like nur. And the verse gives us a very beautiful example for how Allah's light affects my life every single day that I live and breathe. The example is of kamishkat, of a niche in the wall. Like you have a mihrab when you pray inside and you cut out an area. And in that kamishka you have misbah, you have a lamp. The verse continues. And around this lamp is zujaja, is glass, which covers this lamp completely. And so now, when this lamp shines brightly with this glass and in this special area in the wall, it is like a kawkabun durriya, it's like a shining star of the sky. This example of God's light. And when it shines, it doesn't need constant sustenance from any location except one, which is shajaratin mubarakatin zaytunatin, a blessed olive tree, of which you'll find nothing like this in the east or the west, and which requires no fire to burn. This is the only oil which heats this lamp, which shines like a star. And the Quran continues, this is nuru ala nur, light upon light. That's the example of nur. And يَهْدِ اللَّهُ لِنُورِهِ مَن يَشَاءُ, Allah guides whomsoever He wishes to this special, distinct light. And this is an example for all people. That's the verse of Quran we saw Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So this is God's light. This is the example He gives in this verse. It's like, if you can try and visualize, if you can, a niche in a wall, like an indenture which has been cut and carved out from the wall. And in that wall they placed a very specific lamp surrounded by glass. And there's something about this nidam, this process, which makes the most shining light coming from this lamp. It's like Kawkam Doriya is like the brightest star in the sky. It's a technical term in Arabic. And you won't find it in the East or the West. You won't find it anywhere. You won't find it in any example. And it only comes from this blessed tree. Now this is a very complex example for a very simple concept. Nur, light. It shows that Allah Azza wa Jal has made a very specific nidam, a process with its own compartments. Everything has its own place. And when everything comes together, there is nur in the heavens and the earth. Now this is beautiful, and many people have Mufassirin from Sunni and Shia love this verse of the Quran. It is an example for all of us. But the question is, okay, like how does it affect me, my life, the way I live and breathe and my decisions? I don't see this lamp around me. I don't see this kamishkak. I don't see this zujaj. I don't see it. How does it affect my life? Okay. Our eighth Imam Ali al-Rida alayhi salam says this nur, this light, which you find in this verse of Quran, it is something which is a source of guidance for the heaven and the earth. Now light is guidance. If you are dark, you cannot see. The only thing which shines a path for you is light. Otherwise you're lost. He says this light is a guidance for you in heaven and the earth. Like it's something which actually guides you. Now I say this to all of you who are listening, inshallah. This is a very important sentence. If you are looking for the nur of Allah on this earth, the place you will find the nur of Allah is in the Chadar of Zahra. If you're looking for that light, the place you will find it is in As-Siddiq al-Fatima Zahra alayhi salam. In her father, in her husband, and in her children. And all those who come from her line, they are the ones who embody the nur of Allah in Samawat and Ardh. The Hadith says that in this verse of Quran, the part where the land has been destroyed to make the lamp fit into the earth, into the wall, that's that area, that's known as Fatima. The Hadith says this. The actual misbah, the lamp in the middle, is known as Al-Hasan. And the glass covering it all together, Zujaja, is known as Hussein. When they come together, they become the shining star of the earth. And that shining star is called Al-Kawkab al-Durriya. And when it continues to shine, that tree which supplies the oil to this is called Ali. The Hadith says Ali is that one who receives continuous ilm from Rasulullah. And the more ilm he gets, he gives. So this whole star is powered by Ali, looks like Zahra, and has the hands of Hassan and Hussein alayhi salam. This is nur of Allah on this earth. Fatima, the father of Fatima, and the husband of Fatima, and her children. In fact, another hadith also says that if you're looking for the location of this verse, like where is the precise place that the nur is nuzul, basically, it's descended upon. One narration says it's actually on the heart of Rasulullah when he receives wahy and revelation. Like all this nur, all this light is on his heart. Okay, but I mentioned two different narrations. One narration says the light comes on Zahra. Another narration says the light comes on the heart of Rasulullah. So someone who's being like very technical might say, hold on a second, there's a bit of a contradiction here. One narration says all of the nur of Allah descends on the qalb of Rasulullah. Another says upon Zahra. How can it be both the heart of the Prophet and Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam? The answer is this. Who says these were two separate things? The heart of the Prophet and Zahra. Does he not say Fatima is bid'atun minni, a part of me? Does he not say Fatima is Abiha, the mother of her father? It's not just some laqab. This means somewhere in the secret of Zahra is one of the reasons of the wujud of Muhammad. So that nur of the Prophet is found in Zahra alayhi salam. Because I'm in the mood for addition, so give me back each other. This is the nur of Allah on this earth. Zahra and her family. And the Holy Prophet's heart is qalb. She's a part of me. When she's happy, I'm happy. When she's angry, I'm angry. Yani the light of God on this earth shines from the face of Zahra. When she's happy, it's happy. And when she's angry, it's angry upon whoever makes her angry. This is the nur of Zahra of Allah upon this family. Okay. If we go further, the verse is Nur ala Nur. That's the end of the verse. So we have this lamp of Ali Muhammad of Ahl al-Kisa, like we get it. Ahl al-Kisa are the ones who radiate the light of God on this earth. But the verse says Nur ala Nur, light upon light. Our Imam says this means Nur ala Nur means Imam ba'da Imam. Each Imam which comes, one after that, continues the same Nur of the one before. One Hadith says Nur ala Nur actually means footstep after footstep. Each Imam walks in the same footsteps of the one who came before. All of them taking you towards Allah Azza wa Jal. Nur ala Nur. There's one narration which all of you would like, inshallah. Our Imam, Amir Mu'min Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. It starts strangely. Like it says he's sitting alone in the masjid and he's smiling to himself and drawing something on the ground. Someone comes and says, Ya Ali, what are you writing? What are you drawing? He says, I'm smiling because there are some people who read a verse of Quran thinking it's not about me, but it's only about me. So which one? He says this verse, Allahumma salati wal ard, this one. So what do you mean? He says, do you not know something? Okay. He says this in this narration. The one who receives nur is Muhammad. The one who shines is dhikr of me, Ali. The lamp is my son Hassan. We've already mentioned this. The glass is my son Hussein alayhi salam. When that light, that nur becomes that shining star, that's my son Al-Sajjad. He says this. When at that moment it's coming from a tree supplying oil to it, that oil is the son of Sajjad Al-Baqir. In this verse, they don't know, he says. When you read, there's no one in the east or the west like this tree, that's my sons As-Sadiq and Al-Qadim. And when it says this oil is continuous, that's my son Al-Rida alayhi salam. And when it says this lamp, this oil needs no fire to burn, that's my son Al-Jawad alayhi salam. When it says Nur ala Nur, light on light, that's my sons Al-Hadi and Al-Askari alayhi salam. And when it says Liyahdillahu, Allah is the one who guides people towards this Nur. Liyahdillahu nurihi man yasha. He guides whoever he wants. This is my son, the Qa'im, the upriser, Al-Mutadar Al-Mahdi alayhi salam. We all mentioned in this one verse and they deny us from this verse. That's why I'm smiling, he says. We are in this verse. Each different segment of this verse is dhikr of Ali Muhammad. Each different one. Okay. This is the nur of the Holy Prophet. Maybe this is why the first thing Allah creates is nur. أَوَّلُ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ نُورِي. The first thing the Prophet says which was made was my nur. Nur Muhammadi is called. Allah is nur. Samawat, earth covered in nur. Ali Muhammad, recipients of nur. Heaven and earth benefiting from this nur. It makes sense the first thing should be light. So the first thing in the riwayat Allah creates is light, is nur. And he calls this nur Nur Muhammadi. Now what happens next depends on which narration you look at. One narration says this nur becomes 2. Another says nur becomes 12. Another says nur becomes 5. Each one has a different reasoning of points in the same direction. The one which is nur becomes 2 is from Imam Ali alayhi salam, where he says there was a time when there was no one in existence except me and Rasulullah. And we prayed to Allah when Adam was moving in between the shadows. There was just us. That's 2. Okay. One says 12. The narration says, you will find it I think in Al-Kafi. Actually it's from Majlisi, where he says Allah creates 12 veils and gives each of them a special distinct name. And he takes the nur of Muhammad and passes them through each veil, so that nur is doing dhikr of Allah in each segment. For example, it spends 12,000 years at the 12th veil just saying Subhanallah. And 11,000 years at the 11th veil. It goes through each of the darajat until it's done a continuous dhikr of Allah through each veil. But my favorite is the one which says 5. The narration says this. It says, after Allah created this nur of Muhammad, it splits into 5. And he gives each segment a different name. One's called Mahmud, one's called A'la, one's called Fataswati wal Arf, one's called A'la, one's called Muhsin, one's called Ahsanul Khaliqeen. Allah then takes each different 5 of these segments and creates something distinct from each segment. The narration says, from Nur Muhammad, Allah creates the Arsh of Allah. And for this reason, the Holy Prophet is greater than the entire throne of God. Now one hadith says the name of Muhammad is inscribed on the throne of God, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Another narration says, in addition to this, Allah takes the Nur of Ali and makes all of the Malaika, every single angel, which means Ali is greater than every angel. He takes the Nur of Fatima and from it creates heavens and the earth, all of the levels, but not Jannah, the levels of heaven and the earth, which means technically Zahra is greater than every level of heaven and earth. He takes from the Nur of Imam Hassan alayhi salam and creates the sun and the moon. And from the Nur of Abu Abdullah, he creates all of Jannah and the Ishaq of Jannah. Which is why our fifth Imam says, go to Karbala so that you don't feel like a stranger when you arrive in Jannah. Because Nur of Hussein creates Jannah. And Hussein is afdal to Jannah. Now someone comes and says, listen, this hadith, this narration, you guys are exaggerating, you are doing ghullat, you are the rawafid, you're going way too far. Everything from Ali Muhammad makes no sense. I'd say to them, open the books of Sunni and Shia and read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inni ma khalaqtu sama'a mabniya. Inni ma khalaqtu sama'a mabniya. Wala qamara munir, wala shamsa mudira, wala falaka yadur, wala bahra yajri, wala fulka yasri. Illa fi muhabbati haula ila khamsa lidhum tahta al-Kisa. I did not create any of the sun and the moon and the heavens and the stars except for my love for these 5 under the cloak of Kisa. Who are they? Fatima wa abiha wa ba'aliha wa baniha. All of it for the love of these 5. All of your family that you've been given to you, your sustenance, your risk, everything you have gone through, it was only given to you because of your love for Ali Muhammad. Why? Allah guys, whoever he wants to this nur. So if he brought you here, he guided you for the sake of Ali Muhammad here. It's reassuring to the person that, you know what, no matter what hardship I go through in life, like I'm going to go through a lot of hardships, but these footsteps are at least walking a path my imams are trying to guide me on. It gives me some sukoon that at the end it's going to be okay. Well, like at the end, I'm going to be okay because I have them. I will lose everything. I will at some point in life. I will lose everything, my health and my wealth and all the things I took for granted. But if I don't lose them, I receive everything one day. Like that hope we get from Ali Muhammad is different. I have friends who have gone through so much. You have friends who have gone through a family who are struggling and suffering imtihanat. No matter what they're going through, Ali Muhammad are unconditional love to bring you back towards Allah Azza wa Jal. Bring me a nur brighter than these anwar. I don't think we'll find it. Okay. Then, are you with me, inshallah? Allah puts this nur of Muhammad in Adam. So when the verse of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي فَقَوْلُ سَاجِدِينَ, I breathe into him from my ruh and told everyone to sajda to this Adam. The riwayat say, this is the precise nur. Allah took one portion of the nur of Muhammad and placed it in Adam. And when he placed it, Adam now had this nur in him. And only then is he worthy of sajda from the angels and the jinn. Only then. Before then, he's nothing. No one even looks towards him. But when he gets the nur, sajda's wajib to him. So there's one point where people are following, the angels are following him around. He says, Ya Allah, why are they following me? And I said, not because of you. There's a nur in you. They're following that nur. They love that light. Which technically means Iblis is the first hater of Ali Muhammad. Because he's the only one who didn't bow to this nur because he had hatred for Ali Muhammad. Okay. Then the nur goes into the different prophets. Each of them passed this same light. Where do we start? Where are we now? All of the prophets. Each one has this light in them. Every single one. And they pass it down one after the other. Ali Muhammad are part of that entire journey of Nabuwah. From Adam to Khatim. They say, we are with Ibrahim when he was thrown in the fire. When Nuh is on the ark. And there's a time when the ship is particularly rocky. He just tawassul of Allah and said, Ya Allah, for the sake of Muhammad, let us at least arrive safely. He says this dua. When Yunus is in the whale, he says, Ya Allah, for the sake of Ali Muhammad, let me leave this place, please. And only then he's released from it. When Lady Maryam is in labor, she calls on Ali Muhammad to ease the pain of her labor. When Musa speaks to God, when he speaks to Allah, he speaks and says, Ya Allah, this is I shouldn't say the narration, it's actually a maqam of Ahlul Bayt where he speaks to Allah Azza wa Jal. Like they're part of this whole journey. Our Imam al-Islam says that not a single prophet, not a single one, was their deen complete except with loving and having wilayat for our authority. Not a single prophet, every single one. Now, non-Muslims don't have the language for Ali Muhammad in the way that we have, but they do recognize something special happens throughout the life of the human being from Adam until Khatam, where no matter what we go through, we still cling to this nur, this immaterial, this love. Western thinkers say there's something about humanity, we keep going back towards God in some form or another. For example, Karen Armstrong, a well-known thinker and historian, says that in the moment humanity was hunter-gatherers, like our whole civilization was just hunting and gathering on animals. When they transition from this lifestyle to having actual settled life, where they don't move around, they're not chasing animals, they live in one place, when they have bronze and weapons. For some reason, the more civilized human beings became, the more religion became important to them. The more they turned towards something immaterial. It could have been a god or a deity, but something. Going from hunting boars in the wild to living in an established ground, the more they advance, the more they turn back to some sort of god. Okay. Joseph Campbell said a similar thing. He's a historian of myth. He says, if you go through all of the myths in history of the East and the West, all of the myths, they have the same template. An individual is lost, has difficulty. All myth, Greek, from the East and the West, they're lost. They want truth. They find some sort of guide or teacher towards the immaterial. At some point, they let go of their material bonds and embrace the immaterial. And then they return back towards the material world. So there's some sort of nur or some light which they're chasing. All faiths, he says this. Okay, Alan Watts says the same thing. Whereas he looks at religion, he says every religion, East or West, has some idea of the sacred. The point I'm making is this. From Adam until our Holy Prophet and continuously, human beings never let go of looking for light. Whether it's the light they're sitting around a campfire trying to make fire, or the light they carry on their spears when fighting against their enemy, or the lights they put on their buildings to show signs, or the lights on the signpost by the coast for the ships to see. They're always looking for nur and light. And alongside that, they're always going towards God. Whatever faith they're in, they're looking towards Allah in some way. And that's because every prophet was teach them with this one function: go back towards the nur of Allah. And go back towards it. Whatever qawm you're from, whether it's Banu Israel, whether the East or the West, one mission: go back to Nur Samawati wal Ard. He was there for you, He created you, He made you, He never left you, don't let go of Him. Pure Tawheed. All of the prophets did this one function, but they needed a very special tool to accomplish this one function. What's that tool? Sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. How did the prophets achieve this goal? One story, narration for you, I'll give to you, inshallah. And then we'll rush towards, I think we have dinner, which is a very good option, inshallah. One day the Prophet ﷺ is sitting alongside his companions. And they're sitting, in the masjid. The door opens and a beast enters of frightful appearance, the riwayat says. And when it enters, the companions become scared when they see, and they are worried for who this being is. But the Prophet remains completely calm. He's Rasulullah. The being says, Ya Rasulullah. Some of your companions are scared. Some companions are always scared, by the way. And they're in fear. Let me introduce myself so that they don't become scared. Just tell them who you are. The being says, Ana Ham ibn Him ibn Lamis ibn Iblis. I'm a jinn. And I'm the great grandson of Iblis, of Shaitan. Ya Rasulullah. I was created then with Iblis, after Iblis. And when he said to Allah, I will misguide all of Banu Adam, I was given one job, one task. Go to every prophet and make him do a sin. Misguide him. That was my job. Ya Rasulullah. When I went to Adam, I tried to misguide him. Someone stopped me from bringing him towards sin. So I thought it must be the next prophet who's protecting him. So I went to Shaykh. And yet, it wasn't him, but not only wasn't him, when I tried to misguide him, the same person stopped me from misguiding him. So I went to Sham after him, the same thing happened. I went to Ibrahim, I went to Nuh, I went to Musa, I went to Yaqub, Yusuf, Saleh, Idris, Isa, all of them. And every time I tried to misguide one of the prophets, this same being stopped me. And I thought, you know what, it must be the next prophet who's defending them. But Ya Rasulullah, you are Khatimun Nabiyeen, you're the last one. And it's not you. So my question is, Ya Rasulullah, I've come to you right now to ask you, who is that being? Every time I try to misguide one of the Anbiya, he stopped me. Prophet says, Ya Allah, if you saw him now, would you recognize him? He goes, Ya Rasulullah, I've seen him my whole life. He's pushed me away from every job I've had. Of course I know him, I only know his face. Prophet says, if I show you him now, will you? I said, I'll know him. And next to the Prophet, Imam Ali alayhi salam is sitting with his head face down. The Prophet lifts him by the chin and says, is this that man? That being steps back and says, Ya Rasulullah, this is that same being from Adam till now. This same person has stopped me misguiding every prophet. Wherever I went, this young man stopped me. Who is he? Prophet says, I'll tell you exactly who he is. هذا أخي وابن عمي ووسي ووارثي أبو الحسنين مولى القونين إمام الثقلين يعسوب الدين رئيس الموحدين غائر البرد المحجلين إمام الصديقين أمير المؤمنين أسد الله الغالب غالب لكل غالب علي بن أبي طالب. This is that one being. This is Ali ibn Abi Talib, the one who protects every single prophet from his work. From Adam hatta al-Khatam, Ali protects the Anbiya. And because of Ali alayhi salam and the way he fights off them, we have a deen to survive today. Okay, this Noor now unites for the first time in Rasulullah alayhi salam. But a part of it remains separate from him. It's in his uncle Abu Talib. It splits. The only time it comes back is in the daughter of Rasulullah, Sayyidah Zahra sallallahu alayha. She unites the Anwar, and from her progeny come all of the Aimma. Okay, that's my last point to all of you. This nidam of the Noor of Allah from then until the end of creation, the time when it was at its most vulnerable point was right after Ashura. From Adam until now, and from now until the Dhuhr until after, the most difficult and vulnerable for this Noor, where it could have been blotched out if it was Allah's will, would have been right after Ashura. That exact moment after Abu Abdullah, when our fourth Imam is very weak and very not strong enough to survive. That time. This is the nidam of Allah. Allah is this Noor. He protects this Noor. He protects this nidam, this system which shines from the world for humanity. He protects it. And at that time, when the Noor was at its most weak and difficult, the one he chooses to protect and save Imamat is Alimatun Ghayra Mu'allima, Al-Aqila, Al-Kubra, Zayn of Abiha, Sayyida Zayn Sallallahu Alayha. No one's been given this job like Zayn was given now. This Noor is at its most hard position. On multiple times, the Imam Islam is too weak to defend himself and the enemy try and assassinate him. The one who continuously puts her body between the sword and the Imam is Zainab. The one who speaks against the tyrant is Zainab. The one who, by whose reason we have Azadari is Zainab. Not just Ummul Masaib, Ummul Azadar is Zainab. Every child who puts that green band to go to the majlis is a son or daughter of Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam. You know, we have a whole book in our Aqaid on what do we do when the Imam alayhi salam is too weak to defend his wilayat and a ghair Imam must defend him. The only reason we have this book is because of Sayyidah Zainab. And I'll mention this point to make it very clear. The only one in all of creation Allah chose to trust with this task of not being an Imam but save Imamat is Zainab. Zayn Abiha, the delight of her father. That's Sayyidah Zainab. Aqila, the wise woman of this family. She has knowledge, but no one taught her. Where did she come from to teach us about Imamat? She came directly from the Noor of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And this is her wiladat, I think, next week. That's why I mentioned her. This nidam of Imamat, this Noor of Imamat, and this is my closing remarks, starts with the beginning of creation, culminates in Ahl Kisa, finds the most critical point at Ashura, but its most crowning moment will be the Dhuhr of Imam al-Hujjah al-Qa'im, inshallah. That moment when Imam completes this whole mission is why the Noor was created in the first place. And all of these are part of that movement. The Anbiya, Ali Muhammad, Sayyidah Fatima, Sayyidah Zainab, all of them are for the Dhuhr of the Imam alayhi salam. So we end inshallah by raising our hands and praying that, Ya Allah, we pray for the quickening of the appearance of our Imam, inshallah. And we pray that Allah allows us to be faithful followers of the Nur of our Imam, inshallah. And we pray Allah accepts all of our deeds and the deeds of our marhum in our families, inshallah. And finally, we pray, inshallah, that we may be alive, inshallah, to witness and be part of the whole Imam, inshallah. We have this tawfiq. اللهم نسألك بحق فاطمة وبها بعلي ابنها والسلم واستعوذ فيها أن تصلي على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
This is what I call the cake. MashaAllah. People of us, may Allah elevate your services to the Ahlul Bayt and to guide us in this wonderful fadail of Imamat, and it really is the cake tonight. When you have the cake, you put the icing, obviously, and you put candles, as the Sheikh said. So to call in the light moment, I'm going to call Zundi over here to enlighten us with one Malkamat. Not and Malkamat. MashaAllah. Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. نعرہ حیدری.
تاجیل ظہور امام مہدی عجل اللہ تعالی فرجہ. آواز بلندر صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اور ایک درود پڑھ کیجیے محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد.
یا نبی صلو علیہ وآلہ. یا نبی یا نبی صلو علیہ وآلہ. تو کجا میں کجا تو کجا میں کجا تو کجا میں کجا تو کجا میں کجا یا رسول اللہ. سب مل کے پڑھیں. تو کجا میں کجا تو کجا میں کجا تو کجا میں کجا تو کجا من کجا. تو امیر حرم میں فقیر عجم. تو امیر حرم میں فقیر عجم. تیرے گم اور یہ لب میں طلب ہی طلب. تیرے گم اور یہ لب میں طلب ہی طلب. تو عطا ہی عطا تو کجا من کجا تو کجا من کجا تو کجا من کجا.
نعرہ تکبیر. نعرہ رسالت. نعرہ حیدری.
ایسے نہیں, دونوں ہاتھ بلند کر کے نعرہ حیدری. تو کجا میں کجا تو کجا من کجا یا رسول اللہ. تو کجا میں کجا تو کجا من کجا یا رسول اللہ. الہام ہے جامع تیرا الہام ہے، جامع تیرا قرآن امام ہے، تیرا قرآن امام ہے، تیرا منبر تیرا عرش بری، منبر تیرا عرش بری، یا رحمت للعالمین، تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، رسول اللہ تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، یا رسول اللہ تو حقیقت ہے میں صرف احساس ہوں، تو سمندر میں بھٹکی ہوئی پیاس ہوں، تو سمندر میں بھٹکی ہوئی پیاس ہوں، میرا گھر خاک پر اور تیری راہ گزر، میرا گھر خاک پر اور تیری راہ گزر، سدرۃ المنتہا تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، یا رسول اللہ تم کہاں ہم کہاں، تم کہاں ہم کہاں، یا رسول اللہ تم کجا من کجا، کجا من کجا، الہام ہے جامع تیرا، الہام ہے جامع تیرا قرآن امام ہے، تیرا قرآن امام ہے، تیرا منبر تیرا عرش بری، یا رحمت للعالمین، تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، بشر رتبہ تیرا خیر البشر، رتبہ تیرا آواز حق، خطبہ تیرا آواز حق، خطبہ تیرا آفاق تیرے سامعین، آفاق تیرے سامعین، سائنس جبریل امین، یا رحمت للعالمین، تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا، تو کجا من کجا،
ماشاء اللہ، نعرہ تکبیر، نعرہ رسالت، نعرہ حیدری،
یا علی یا علی، جزاک اللہ۔ جہاں پر ذکر محمد ہوتا ہے وہاں پر ذکر علی کبھی بھی پیچھے نہیں ہوتا، تو اگر اجازت ہے تو کچھ اشعار مولا علیہ السلام کی شان درود پر محمد والوں۔
صلی علی محمد وآل محمد، ماشاء اللہ۔
مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ جو ہی گنگنایا، سویرے سویرے، سب کے ساتھ میں پڑھنا ہے، سویرے سویرے، مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ جو ہی گنگنایا، سویرے سویرے، مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ گنگنایا سویرے اور خدا کی قسم پھر سے دوہرا رہا ہوں کہ خدا کی قسم پھر عبادت کا مجھ کو بڑا لطف آیا سویرے سویرے مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ جو ہی گنگنایا سویرے سویرے خدا کی قسم پھر عبادت کا مجھ کو بڑا لطف آیا سویرے سویرے مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ سویرے سویرے مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ سویرے سویرے اور نکل کر اندھیروں کے نرغے سے ارجا در شہ پہ آیا سویرے سویرے نکل کر اندھیروں کے نرغے سے ارجا در شہ پہ آیا سویرے سویرے تو زہرا کے بیٹے نئی پل میں صدا مقدر جگایا سویرے سویرے دونوں ہاتھ بلند کر کے حیدری دوبارہ حیدری مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ اور ملائک نے جس وقت مدح و ثنا کی فضاؤں میں گونجے صدا یا علی کی ملائک نے جس وقت مدح و ثنا کی فضاؤں میں گونجے صدا یا علی کی صدا یا علی کی پرندوں نے بھی اپنی بولی میں نعرہ پرندوں نے بھی اپنی بولی میں نعرہ علی کا لگایا پرندوں نے پہچانا لیکن انہوں نے نہیں پہچانا 1 2 3 بے شمار پرندوں نے بھی اپنی بولی میں نعرہ علی کا لگایا سویرے سویرے مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ جو ہی گنگنایا کہ مہک باغ عصمت کی ہر سمت پھیلی لگایوں کے آمد ہوئی سیدہ کی مہک باغ عصمت کی ہر سمت پھیلی لگایوں کے آمد ہوئی سیدہ کی جو ہی میں نے گھر میں حدیث قصہ کے جو ہی میں نے گھر میں حدیث قصہ کے دیے کو جلایا سویرے مصلی پہ میں نے علی کا قصیدہ جو ہی
سویرے محفل جم گئی ہے. Oh, the crescendo is yet to come. And the icing is yet to come. With your loud Nari Salawat, please welcome Muhammad Abbas to continue. And we are on schedule. Okay? Niaz is there waiting for us, I know, but we are on schedule. Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
First favorite ones.
Narae Takbir. Narae Risalat. Narae Haidari.
صلوات محمد وآل محمد.
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
يا ایسی ذات آپ نے پائی کہ بس یا
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
ایسی عزت آپ نے پائی کہ بس کی شب اسرا خدا نے وہ پذیرائی کہ بس یا ایک پل میں مصطفیٰ کو عرش پر بلوا لیا. ایک پل میں مصطفیٰ کو عرش پر بلوا لیا. اپنے بندے کی خدا کو ایسی یاد آئی کہ بس یا محمد. گنتے گنتے تھک گئی تاروں کی نازک انگلیاں. گنتے گنتے تھک گئی تاروں کی نازک انگلیاں. مصطفیٰ کے ہیں زمین پہ اتنے شہدائی کہ بس یا محمد. میں نے جلتی دھوپ میں جب چھیڑ دی نعت رسول. میں نے جلتی دھوپ میں جب چھیڑ دی نعت رسول. رحمتوں کی ہر طرف ایسی گھٹا چھائی کہ بس یا محمد. دیکھ ابھی وقت ہے دامن نبی کا تھام لے. देख अभी वक्त है दामन नबी का थाम ले वरना कल महशर में होगी ऐसी रुसवाई के बस या मोहम्मद ऐसी इज्जत आपने पाई के बस या
MashaAllah. I'm going to say a couple of words here with Raza's permission. Muhammad Abbas, he is known within the communities to be one of wonderful reciters, and he gets invited, especially during the month of Muharram and Safar, to various Jamaats to give the manqabats, well, the mercy as well as years. And it's not only that this family, whom I've come to know a few years now, in Najaf, in Iraq, where you have the Maulanas come to study and they stay for a long period of time, they have families. And on the streets, the children roam because there is no school for them. And because Arabic is the predominant language in Iraq, they don't know English as such. So when the parents, the Maulanas, go back to their towns in Pakistan or India, and the children go back, they have no knowledge of English or proper schooling, because the Maulanas, the students there, live hand to mouth. So Muhammad Bai, who is Akbar Bai, is Muhammad's father, he takes groups to Ziyarat, and I was lucky to be part of one of his, and I was very impressed with his humbleness, and you've seen him now, Husseiniya. With zero finance, with few of his chosen people, he has tried to build this school in Najaf, and alhamdulillah, you'll be surprised how much work has been done in the last 3 months. But like any project, which is self-project as such, not supported by anybody as such, from the federations, for example, is tremendous amount of work that he has put in, and the school is being built. If you want to know more about it and do amal khair, please either talk to Muhammad or you can talk to me. I will give you the details of the project, which is, alhamdulillah, coming through, but there's a lot of help wanted. Amal khair, inshallah. Now, like a perfect surfer who maybe in Hawaii is looking for that perfect wave, because when that wave comes up, the crescendo of that wave is to surf that wave. And like tonight's crescendo, I'm going to ask one of the most wonderful, beloved Imran Dag to come and make this mehfil to a crescendo that we will remember for years to come. Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Narae Takbir, Narae Risalat, Narae Haidari,
Nare Takbir, Nare Risalat, Nare Haidari,
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Firstly, I'd like to extend my thanks to Raza Bhai for inviting me and giving me the honor to be a part of this amazing Jashan. And let us start by reciting a Surah Fatiha for the Isal Sawab of Raza's mum. Please recite a Surah Mubarakatul Fatiha. ایک درود پڑے گا محمد علی محمد پر. یہ سب بات ایسی تھی جیسے کہ آپ تھکے ہوئے ہیں. نعرہ حیدری، آواز بلند صلوات. حیدر کے عاشقوں نے محفل سجا سجا کے، 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 ظالم کو مار ڈالا نعرے لگا لگا کے، ظالم کو مار ڈالا، ظالم کو مار ڈالا نعرے لگا لگا کے. اور اے فاطمہ کے دل پر خادم ہوں میں تمہارا، اے فاطمہ کے دل پر خادم ہوں میں تمہارا، جبریل کہہ رہے ہیں جھولا 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 کے، جبریل کہہ رہے ہیں جھولا 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 کے. درود کریں محمد. یہ جو محفل میلاد النبی کی جو رکھی گئی ہے تو نعت کے حوالے سے درود کریں گے محمد علی محمد. شہنشاہی سے بھی قیمتی ہے، شہنشاہی سے بھی قیمتی ہے، تخت سے بھی بڑی تاج سے بھی حسین ذاکری ہے، مصطفیٰ کی جو یہ نوکری ہے، مصطفیٰ کی جو یہ نوکری ہے، تخت سے بھی بڑی تاج سے بھی حسین ذاکری ہے، مصطفیٰ کی جو یہ نوکری ہے. اور اپنے نوکر کا میرے نبی نے مرتبہ اس طرح ہے بڑھایا، دنیا بھر میں جہاں بھی گیا میں مجھ کو دنیا نے سر پہ بٹھایا، جھک کے ملتی ہے، جھک کے ملتی ہے مجھ سے یہ دنیا، نوکری کی یہ اجرت ملی ہے، تخت سے بھی بڑی تاج سے بھی حسین ذاکری ہے، مصطفیٰ کی جو یہ نوکری ہے. اس شعر پر خاص توجہ چاہتا ہوں، پسندیدہ شعر ہے کہ قبر میں جب فرشتوں نے دیکھا، قبر میں جب فرشتوں نے دیکھا، میں ہوں مصروف ذکر نبی میں، ارے بھول بیٹھے سوالات سارے، بھول بیٹھے سوالات سارے، جھوم اٹھے وہ عشق نبی میں، سننے آئے ہیں، سننے آئے ہیں خود پنجتن بھی، قبر میں خوب محفل سجی، قبر میں خوب محفل سجی ہے، تخت سے بھی بڑی تاج سے بھی حسین ذاکری ہے، مصطفیٰ کی جو یہ واہ جی ماشاءاللہ. اور جو ہے گستاخ میرے نبی کا اس سے نفرت ہے فرحان مجھ کو، وہ جہنم کا ایندھن بنے گا، یہ بتاتا ہے قرآن مجھ کو. دشمن مصطفیٰ، دشمن مصطفیٰ میرا دشمن، ان کے عاشق سے بس دوستی ہے، تخت سے بھی بڑی تاج سے بھی حسین ساکری ہے، مصطفیٰ کی جو یہ نوکری ہے، مصطفیٰ کی جو یہ نوکری ہے.
ماشاءاللہ.
کہ قبر میں جا فرشتوں نے دیکھا، میں ہوں مصروف ذکر نبی میں، ارے بھول بیٹھے سوالات سارے، جھوم اٹھے وہ عشق نبی میں، ارے سننے آئے ہیں، سننے آئے ہیں خود پنجتن بھی، قبر میں خوب محفل سجی ہے. بہت اچھی طرح سے سن لیا اور آخری مرتبہ جیسے زینب سلام علیہ کی ولادت جو آ رہی ہیں ان کے حوالے سے گرو کریم محمد علی محمد. ایک اور گرو کریم محمد علی محمد. کہ میرے ہونٹوں پہ تیری جو ثنا ہے زینب، میرے ہونٹوں پہ تیری جو ثنا ہے زینب، ارے میں نہیں میرا لہو بول رہا ہے، میں نہیں میرا لہو بول رہا ہے زینب، میرے ہونٹوں پہ. اور سورماؤں کی بھی رک جائے جہاں پر سانسیں، سورماؤں کی بھی رک جائے جہاں پر سانسیں، مرحبا تم نے وہاں خطبہ دیا ہے، سورماؤں کی بھی رک جائے جہاں پر سانسیں، مرحبا تم نے وہاں خطبہ دیا ہے زینب، میرے ہونٹوں پہ. آئیے دیکھیے گا، اس سے ثابت ہے، اس سے ثابت ہے زمانے پہ شجاعت تیری، اس سے ثابت ہے زمانے پہ شجاعت تیری، عباس پلا تیری آغوش میں عباس پلا ہے زینب تیری آغوش میں عباس پلا ہے زینب میرے ہونٹوں پہ اور مصطفیٰ جیسے کھڑے ہوتے تھے زہرا کے لیے مصطفیٰ جیسے کھڑے ہوتے تھے زہرا کے لیے تیری عظمت میں یوں شبیر کھڑا ہے تیری عظمت میں یوں شبیر کھڑا ہے میرے ہونٹوں کہ بس یہ کافی ہے سمجھنے کو تمہارا رتبہ بس یہ کافی ہے سمجھنے کو تمہارا رتبہ مشورہ تم سے امامت نے لیا ہے مشورہ تم سے امامت نے لیا ہے میرے کہ 14 معصوموں کے اور ذات الہی کے سوا 14 معصوموں کے اور ذات الہی کے سوا آج تک کوئی نہیں سمجھا کہ کیا ہے آج تک کوئی نہیں سمجھا کہ کیا ہے زینب میرے ہونٹوں پہ اور تیری مدحت کی مقطع کا ہی ہے لیکن شاعر کا نام نہیں ہے اس میں خاص دوست ہے میرا جناب میسم مہدی جو لندن میں رہتا ہے بہت اعلیٰ شاعر ہے تو ان کے لیے دعا میں یاد رکھیے گا ضرور کہ تیری مدحت کی سعادت نہیں ملتی سب کو تیری مدحت کی سعادت نہیں ملتی سب کو شکر خالق یہ شرف مجھ کو ملا ہے زینب شکر خالق شرف مجھ کو ملا ہے زینب کس سے ثابت ہے زمانے پہ شجاعت تیری آغوش میں عباس پلا ہے زینب میرے ہونٹوں پہ تیری جو ثنا ہے زینا میں نہیں میرا لہو بول رہا ہے زینا محمد صلی
Rabbi, you are a gem, mashallah. Mashallah.
I mentioned Fazlak in my majlis. Fazlak is alive. MashaAllah. The poetry, MashaAllah. You know, I don't know about you guys, but just imagine the rows of Abu Fazl Abbas, the rows of Imam Hussein, and Tila Zainabiyah there. And right in the middle is Beirut Haramain. I felt I was sitting there today. This was the beauty of all the reciters of the young children, right up to the Sheikh, and to this wonderful ending, unfortunately, of the program. I'm sure Raza is full of joy for the thawab that his marhuma mother is going to get today for this wonderful gesture. May Allah increase your tawfiq. May Allah bless this house, and may the barakah of the Ahlul Bayt always shine upon you as a server of the Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. Is there any other words you want to say in closing? I'm so sorry to say that the tabarak is waiting for us, but this wonderful gesture is now to the end. I believe Sheikh is going to close the program.
Ziyarat
and Ziyarat.
Dua.
And Dua. Yeah. Should like to stay with you. And give us
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها، السلام عليك مولانا حسن المجتبى، والسلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم جميع شهداء كربلاء بالأخص يا باب الحوائج قبر بني هاشم. السلام عليك يا علمدار يا عباس ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا غريب الغرباء يا من الضيفاء والفقراء يا شمس الشموس وأنيس النفوس يا غريب الطوس. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان، الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان وشر الشيطان يا كعبة الإيمان، عجل الله وتعالى وفرجك وسح الله مخرجك وظهورك إن شاء الله. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد. There's a request for Surah Fatiha for the Muhammad of the Lakhani families. While you're reading, I'll read the extended list, but please begin your Fatiha for them. For Marhum Hassan bin Nasir Jagani, Marhuma Nargis Bhai Jagani, Marhum Jafar Bhai Jagani, Marhum Sikandar Jagani, Marhuma Mehrun Nisa Bhai Jagani, Marhuma Zahra Bhai Jagani, Marhum Hussain Jagani, Marhum Amir Jagani, Marhum Iqbal Jagani, Marhum Qasim Ali Kirmali Jagani, Marhum Nargis Bhai Shaukat Jagani, Marhuma Zaleen Bhai Shaukat Jagani, Marhum Kulsum Bhai Hassan Ali Jagani, Marhum Muhsin Kareem, Marhum Akbar Bhai Kareem, Marhum Farida Haidar Ali Jagani, Marhum Ahmad Hussain Dalla Premji, Marhum Sakina Kareem, Marhum Firoz Bhai Jagani, Marhum Haidar Jagani, Marhum Farzana Jagani, Marhum Firoz Kirmari Jagani, Marhum Shireen Bhai Jagani, Marhum Ghulam Bashir Ali Bandari, Marhum Muhammad Taqi Kareem, Marhum Zaibul Nisa Jafar Dimani, Mrs. Marhuma Batul Akbar Ali Kareem, Marhum Anwar Ghulam Hussain Karmani Jagani, Marhuma Sharbanu Bhai Hafi, and Marhuma Razia Bhai Biba, and all, of course, of all of your families, inshallah. And we end with a dua shifa for all of our maridas, which those who are not well, for 5 times together. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma yujibul mutarra idha da'ahu yakshifu su'. Amma yujibul mutarra idha da'ahu yakshifu su'. Amma yujibul mutarra idha da'ahu yakshifu su'. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم جميعا.
اللهم كل وليك صلواتك عليه وعلى آله في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. I